Okay. And then I'll just give you another welcome. And Miss Bridget, you were able to change your name however you wanted to. Okay. You're one of our veterans. You know how this goes. So again, welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. This is our one of our healing members workshops. So I'm glad that newcomers were able to join us. Hi, Terica. Um, this is a workshop that we usually have every week for the people who are on our text message platform. So folks on the text message platform for free, they get daily wellness messages. Each month usually follows a certain theme. This month, we switched up the curriculum mid-month in honor of Black Maternal Health Week. And so we're offering this mini course, just these 7 days of education and support around how Black mothers can be healthy and strong self-advocates. So really, again, Terica, this is like meant to be interactive, meant to be intimate. This is as much about the members sharing their experiences and kind of troubleshooting, how to integrate health information into their daily lives, as much as it is about me as a healthcare provider just sort of talking at you. So I want to start by sharing my screen because look, the name of the game for for becoming a healthy mom, right? For maintaining maternal health, especially for Black women, the name of the game is self-advocacy. And so, there are a few different stages along the pregnancy timeline, and I'm glad that you shared with us, Terica, that you are at, I hope you don't mind me repeating where you are again, but you're more than halfway through. And
Hmm.
um,
Correct.
and so I want to make sure that we address issues that you might actually have, and that we don't spend too much time on, say, points earlier in the timeline, like finding a provider, because you probably have already done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I share my screen, I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing, or even if Miss Bridget might have any thoughts on um, what parts of prenatal care might be most. Oh, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you, Mani. Uh, I wonder if you all could share what parts of prenatal care are maybe most daunting or most concerning for you, and we can kind of decide where to spend time based on your needs.
So I guess it probably depends to me. Well, I'm sorry, are you asking the question?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I'm
Anyone can jump in
so
there.
so I guess it depends on which pregnancy it is, right? So I'm assuming if we go with the first pregnancy, I think the most daunting was the initial evaluations because you've discovered that you're pregnant by checking your own home pregnancy test, right? And then you are now meeting your doctor sort of for the first time. You're going to get to that first ultrasound and you want to know if your baby is healthy or not. So I think what was most daunting for me were those initial visits. And then after that, I just felt, I just made every visit and it was just a matter of uh, sticking to whatever schedule and moving forward from there. So
Okay.
I guess I was, you know, young enough. Well, it was such a long time ago, there weren't enough statistics about maternal and
Hmm.
fetal health for African Americans at that time. So I probably wasn't as frightened. I was young enough that I rode my bike until I was, what, 7 months pregnant or 6 months pregnant. And so I guess the biggest thing was just making sure my baby was healthy. And it was that probably the first 3 to 4 months that I was most concerned at that
Okay.
time.
Thank you for sharing. Can you share with us how old you were when you had your first pregnancy?
I was I was 20. I was 20
Okay.
and my baby delivered about 4 months shy of my 21st birthday.
Okay. So that sort of brings me back to something you mentioned, which is those eh, really like disheartening, terrifying, enraging stats around Black maternal mortality. I'm not even going to dig into those. We've all heard enough about them, every time. I don't know, every time this week comes around, every time this month comes around each year, and each time, there's another uh, health equity or just generally social justice issue that makes the headlines, somehow um, these Black maternal mortality stats aren't far behind. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna belabor those, but in order to find solutions, we do need to understand the problem. So let me tell you why I think self-advocacy is going to be so important for Black women to support their own health during the prenatal process. And that's because the CDC has found that the diseases that are most responsible for uh, maternal mortality for Black women and for white women. Um, the deaths are 60% preventable, right? So you can look to preventable factors in 60% of the deaths. Um, and so what factors would those be? The CDC calls out health care access and healthcare quality as two of the major factors involved in these preventable deaths. And so we're talking about healthcare access. That means having a prenatal care provider and going to your appointments. It means following up with the prenatal care provider, but also having someone who's available in those few days to couple of weeks after delivery in case you notice symptoms. Healthcare quality suggests that these prenatal providers will actually respond to your concerns, that they'll be vigilant. Um, and so, all of that presupposes that we know what it is that we need to do to keep ourselves healthy, and that we know what symptoms increase our risk for disease, right? Like Kamala Harris just announced a potential new policy to improve healthcare access and quality for Black women during pregnancy. But we know policy takes a really long time, and Terica, you will have delivered before any of this comes to fruition. So as we usually do, we've got to lean back on ourselves and figure out what exactly we can do to bridge the gap and continue to thrive while we're waiting on the world to kind of catch up and protect us. Um, so the way that we've thought about the sort of support that healthy mamas need and the sort of self-advocacy that we need to provide is in these four main categories. The one is, in terms of prenatal care, right? So you're thinking about your doctor or your midwife, the process of selecting that person, someone who you can trust, who you can have an open conversation with about the fact, as you said, Miss Bridget, that you're a Black woman delivering a child and maybe at higher risk for some of these diseases, or maybe at risk for death from these diseases. And asking the prenatal care provider, so how do you feel about that? And what are you going to do about it? It means, leveraging our partners, our families, our friends to be our support network. It means leveraging non-clinical providers like doulas, for example, to help advocate for us while we're in the hospital, in labor, don't feel like advocating for ourselves. And then it also means, educating ourselves as much as possible on prenatal health and on the risks that we should look out for, the sort of red flag symptoms. So I would love to hear, Miss Bridget, you're not pregnant, right?
No way.
Okay.
I'm too old to be pregnant. That's why I said no.
Well, I wasn't going to assume anything. And then
It would be a miracle if I was pregnant.
Mani joined us. And so Mani, you came in a little bit after we started the initial intro. Are you expecting?
No, I am not.
Okay. So Terica, you have the floor. We will focus on whichever section of this you think could be most helpful to you. Which of these 4 categories do you think you could spend some time talking about?
I don't know. For me, so I feel very comfortable with my prenatal provider at this point.
That's excellent.
As I get closer to the finish line, as I like to say, I think the biggest thing for me is really educating myself on, as you mentioned, the red flags, how to prepare but not anticipate labor in a
Mhm.
sense that I'm
Mhm.
not trying to overcompensate once I am going through that process,
Yeah.
but understanding, what things to look for and understanding my own body. Because I have
Yeah.
not experienced labor before. This is my first child.
First one.
Um,
Okay.
so, I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything that you're saying. And even with my partner, I've really stressed to him that it's so important for him to be educated along with me, because if I cannot speak for myself or advocate for myself, then he will have to step in. So it's
Ex-
important for him to know, what's going on. So I'm like very, very like hands on, and he's really, open and hands on with things that I tell him. And of course, with men, they're like, wait, what's happening? they
They might be a little scared.
I think they know so much about the glorified process. You get pregnant and then you come home with the baby and life is good and all that, right? So him seeing the whole process is like been really eye-opening for him as well. So
But good
but
for
yeah, the
you.
biggest thing for me is educating myself as I get closer to delivery, labor and
Okay.
delivery, so that I know, if I do need to advocate for myself. But I will say that I am definitely fortunate having a doctor who has been very adamant about, and as an African American woman, to say, hey,
Wow.
I'm here to support you, and just different things. If this is your birthing plan, don't feel like you can't change your mind. Like, we'll support you in that, which is so important.
Yes.
Um,
It's
because the biggest thing for me is to say, do I feel safe? Do I feel that you're always, taking into account my safety, my health?
Yep.
And as long as I can answer yes to that, I'm
Mhm.
really confident, and I feel really, um, positive about just everything, the process and the outcome. So that really makes a big difference.
Good. Good. I mean, Terica, it sounds
Yeah.
like you're in a really great position. You've got a provider you trust. You've already started having conversations about a birth plan. Sounds like you've got that set.
I wouldn't say it's set, but I've definitely started that conversation for sure
Okay.
of what I want to happen, how things will happen. So
Good.
having that conversation.
So you talked about being prepared for labor. And so the birth plan is one of the best ways to start. And so it's great that you're having that conversation with your doctor. Has your doctor recommended any websites maybe you could use, or any other sorts of resources that would help you build a birth plan, like kind of weigh your options?
Not necessarily with the birth plan, but the hospital itself does provide resources and classes in
Good.
order to prepare. So she told me to between probably about now and 32 weeks to start to look and see what type of classes for
Yeah,
pain management and different things like that, how to um, start to prepare for labor and
exactly.
delivery. So I'll
It's
be doing that. I haven't had a chance to look to see what's available, but
you're doing the right thing, girl. It sounds like you
thank
are.
you. Thank you. It's my
On the
first time around, so I'm trying to get it right, but there's no right or wrong way, honestly, but
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna share a resource. Are you able to see your chat right now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna come out of screen share here and uh, share a resource in the chat. That's actually it's from this company called, let's see, Mama Natural, and they actually provide these visual birth plans. So I'm going to share it in the chart. And this is just something that may be helpful for you, Terica, may want to pass on to other people. Um, eh, you can kind of cross out the, and then I'll just sort of share my screen too so everybody can see that, although I've sent the link to everyone.
okay.
So there's basically just this visual birth plan, right? So you can actually see these circles, right? What would you like done? It says my
Mhm.
natural birth plan, but it doesn't have to be natural. What would you like done during labor? Do you not want medications? Do you want medications? Would you like to be able to get up and move freely during labor? Um, uh, Natural water rupture, or do you want your membranes broken? Um, Even, they get as specific as what the room will look like. So, do you want the
Mhm.
lights dim? There are things to think about, like eating and drinking, right? If you're going to are you going to be at risk for C-section potentially and not want to eat and drink? Um, uh, Are you getting an epidural? Are you using IV pain medications? This is maybe a way for you to kind of think through all of the options. On the next page, it gives you some prompts as to what you might want done with baby. So things like, do you want partner to cut the cord? Do you want to save the placenta? Um,
Mhm.
are you going to breastfeed immediately or do skin to skin? So maybe this is something that you can use. They've also got like a Google Doc that'll allow you to um, delete certain options and then end up just kind of printing out whatever your final plan is. So this is something to go
Okay.
over with your doctor. But
Uh-huh.
then, the other really important piece you mentioned is recognizing red flag symptoms. So I think that's where, as Black women, our self-protection instinct is so valuable, right? So things
Mhm.
for you to look out for, and I'm sure that this is something that your doctor is going to go over with you as you get closer to delivery, but you're getting your blood pressure checked at every visit. If you've had a history of blood pressure in the past, of high blood pressure in the past, then you should have a cuff at home and you're checking it regularly. The main things we'd worry about would be preeclampsia, um, around delivery might be, so like postpartum even, might be concerned about developing blood clots. And so the things that you'd look out for would be the worst headache of your life, vision changes like blurred vision or seeing spots. Um, you'd look for sort of chest pain or belly pain, especially over this right upper quadrant, so like directly beneath your right breast or just kind of underneath your right ribs. You'll look for really sudden swelling of your hands, your feet, your face. Any of that stuff, call your doctor right away. It sounds like you have this great relationship with your provider, and just remember, you're the customer here, right? Like
Right.
they're here to serve you. um,
Right.
be as annoying as you need to be And it sounds like your doctor will understand.
Yes.
Everyone's in the business of keeping you safe.
Hmm. No, I can't agree more. I actually just had a conversation with a friend about um, that being one thing that is really important for me in choosing a, you know, medical um, specialist, whether it's
Yeah.
for, dental, you know, normal health, especially prenatal health, is
Yeah.
that having that relationship, because if it's anything involving myself, my body, my health, then there should be welcome questions.
Yes.
You are the expert. I do not want to know to the point where I want to perform the procedure or, diagnose myself. But at the same time, I need to understand and have a level of comfort is what's going on. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. And then it
So yeah,
sounds like
no, this is good.
good, good. I was just gonna say the other big piece that you already covered, like you're covering all of your bases. The other big piece is getting your partner involved. So you've already told him, like,
Hmm.
look, you need to be aware of the plan and just make sure he has a copy of that on his phone or,
Hmm.
if it's printed out in his pocket, that um, if there are specific concerns that come up too between, say, your last prenatal visit and labor, make sure you're
Hmm.
having those conversations with him just in case there are any last minute changes to the plan.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, but I don't have a ton more to add for you. You're in such a good
Okay.
position.
Cool. No, but
I
this is really good. This is awesome.
good. Can I ask you a question? So we
Yeah.
do these, thank you. We do these sessions, we do these workshops um, once a week, but there are two different options for the workshops.
Hmm.
So we've got Wednesday night and then we've got Saturday morning. So there will be other folks logging on Saturday morning to have a similar conversation. And Tarek, I've got to tell you, I come to this as a family medicine doctor who's taken care of prenatal patients, who's delivered babies alongside OB-GYNs, but I haven't had a baby. So
Okay.
can you share with us sort of how you found this great doctor and what that process was like? Did you have to shop around? Did you use a website? How'd you do it?
Um, I wish I had a specific level of steps, right? So, of
Mhm.
course, I've had a really good experience with the hospital. I've gone here to, receive my, annual OB-GYN services, and my actual normal OB-GYN has been booked. So I went to see my regular physician OB-GYN in October, early October, and I found out I was pregnant um, late in October. So by that time, I couldn't book an appointment with her. So one of her colleagues had an opening. And so, I say it is a blessing, it is God,
Yeah.
because I ended up having a set an appointment with her, and that's how things kind of happened. So I did have a relationship with the hospital as a patient, and I just so happened to be able to continue my prenatal care with this OB-GYN in particular, and it's been really good. Like I said, she was new to me, and the
Yeah.
first thing that I didn't have the best experience with some of the administrative um, people when I went for my initial appointment, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of my friends were saying, well, you can go to another doctor. A few of my friends had recently had babies and gone to other doctors. And I said, well, you know what? Let's wait. I said, because I think it's important for me to say, hey, I didn't have the best experience,
Yeah.
so that they are aware.
Yeah.
Because as a doctor, you're not, aware of what's going on in the, front of the house, and things like that. All you know is when you walk in to see a patient.
Yeah. So you told your
So
doctor that you didn't have the
yeah,
best experience with admin.
so
How did
yeah.
he respond?
I did it informally through a survey, and I'm sure she might have saw that,
Yeah.
but I made sure to be particular about where that lack was.
Yeah.
And luckily there's two different campuses as well that I can go to, and that helped. But what made me decide to stick with her was that when I went to see her, she was very welcoming, and it was a really good experience. Like I said, it wasn't overall everyone there. It was just one particular interaction that was just
Yeah.
not good. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
hold on.
Those
And
flags.
so from there, like it's just it worked out. And I asked myself, do I feel safe? Do I feel like she has my best interest at heart? If at any point I didn't feel like I was safe and that I was being cared for, then I would look for another physician.
Yeah. That's
So
wonderful. I'm glad things work out so well for you.
yeah.
I'm going to, let's see, for anybody who's watching this recording, we talked about earlier this week in the text message thread, we talked about places for you to find doctors you might feel comfortable with to sort of shop around if you don't have the great luck that Terica had, or if you don't have her network of friends who have trusted doctors that they can refer you to. You can go to healthinherhue.com, Health in Her HUE, which is a directory for primarily Black women healthcare providers, but also includes some providers that aren't Black women, but are uh, set up to serve Black women. And then there is blackdoctors.org, where you can find another directory of not necessarily Black doctors, but primarily Black doctors and docs who have signed on specifically to give culturally sensitive care to Black folks. So these are some places you can look if you don't already have that doc in mind. Um, Thank you guys for joining us so much. If you have any last questions, I would love to address them. Although, Terica, you've been like teaching us with your experience.
I just wanted to say, after having 3 children, and my second child was actually delivered at the first birthing center at Evanston Hospital. The idea then that you could have a birth plan, that you could tell your doctor what you wanted and what you don't want. I think that gives the mother a certain amount of power. And I think to actually, I love that chart. I love that diagram that you showed us, where every pregnant person, it's a great thing to think about. Then you have to ask yourself, what's an episiotomy? What do you mean by
Right.
touching my membranes? What do you mean an IV? What's Pitocin? And so then in just looking at those, looking at that diagram, you can educate yourself, number one. It actually opens your mind up to what to expect. Um, and I think if you have that open dialogue with your doctor, just like with any open dialogue with the doctor, I think it forms a greater bond. And that's the person you want to feel good about when they're delivering your baby,
Yeah.
so that there are complications. They will look at you as your sister, as like you're their sister or their aunt or their mom, and then have this desire to really help you and your baby if there are any complications. I think that is just a great diagram for every pregnant woman to just have an open dialogue, to use that as a springboard, to have an open dialogue with their OB.
Yes.
I love that. I wish, yeah. I don't think I could have been back in the 80s and 1990, but I think that's just fantastic.
That's good feedback. I can't take credit for the diagram, obviously, but the goal here is for us to find resources that you can access, whether it's coming directly from Byte Wellness or somewhere else online. So it looked like the sort of resource where if a woman came into my office when I was taking prenatal visits, it would be great to just sit down, with that on a piece of paper and explain exactly what all these things mean and which one of these services can be combined with others. and which can't and why. So thanks for the feedback from a 3-time mom. That's good to know. All right. If we don't have any other questions or thoughts, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I think Mani and Bridget, you are both on our text message thread. Terica, you are welcome to join. I will email you follow-up information, but if you have your phone out right now, you can send text to 224-302-6224. That's the Byte Wellness text message thread where you get one wellness lesson every day via text message. And so you'll be able to get the rest of these, the rest of the week's Healthy Mama texts if you sign up. You can also, if you head to the Byte Wellness website, you can just start from the beginning with the Healthy Mama course, 7-day course. All right, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So good meeting you all. I'm going to end it, okay?
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.